I think I'm live. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another one of our LinkedIn Live events. We are doing this after a really, really long time. I think maybe close to a month. And it is because I've been busy and a lot of things have been going on because of which I really couldn't come and speak to all of you. So I decided that let me start and resume our live events with a new series, a series that I've been thinking about for a while that I wanted to start, and that is Career Conversations. And this is the very first episode of that very live event, of that very series, which is, how to really choose, how to really know if you're on the right career path or not, right? So we are going to see if the live event is working fine, and then I'm going to start. And for those of you who are joining me for the very first time, uh, how these live events work is that I explain to you a topic in depth, and then you can ask me as many questions as you want while you're watching it from here. Or if you're probably seeing this as a recording on YouTube, then you can just comment down whatever questions you may have, or you can just DM me your questions and I'll be happy to answer. So, I have been out of practice for so long for these live events that I feel a bit strange, as if I'm doing this after God knows how many years. Okay, I'm going to see if we are live. Okay, I think we are. Yes, we are. All right. So, how do you know if you're on the right career path, right? I think this is a question that we all have wondered about at one point of time in our life. I know that I have many times. So I want to discuss this topic in depth today, and the first thing I want to talk about is what exactly is a career. So the understanding of the word career is very different for each one of us based on whatever we have been exposed to, whatever we have learned in our school, whatever we have learned uh, with from our parents and from everyone around us. But in reality, a career is nothing but a way that you offer value to the world and you get something in return, right? And that something being money, right? Now, how much do you enjoy giving that value to the world? Whether the value that you're giving to the world is something that you feel pride in, if it is something that you are having a lot of fun with, these all are different aspects of career. But in totality, in actuality, a career is nothing but you solving a problem for the world, or you offering value to the world and you're getting something in exchange of it, right? And that is a definition that most people lived by, right? And that is why you will see a lot of people who just pursued their career for money, who just pursued their career for survival. But as in when we have become more sophisticated in our lives, and as in when we have moved forward, come forward in our lives, we have started to notice that that's not enough, right? Like, you cannot just work for money, because over a period of time either you will end up being really depressed because you know that you're spending 8 hours doing something that you see no meaning in purely for money, or over a period of time you just build up a lot of resentment, or you stop working altogether, and that it just manifests in different ways. So it's very important to understand that yes, in actuality, a career is nothing but the value that you're offering to the world, and you get something in exchange of it. It is your responsibility and it is your job to find out how can I make that activity of offering value to the world more enjoyable, more purposeful, and more meaningful for me, right? More successful for me. And that is what we are going to be talking about in the next few live events as well, in as part of this series called Career Conversations. So, again, a misconception that a lot of people have about career is that you are supposed to pick a field when you are 18 years old. At least in India, what happens is that you're supposed to pick whether you'll be taking science or commerce or humanities in 11th and 12th grade. And then after 12th, what? Like, you pick your bachelor's degree, and then you are expected to do that degree and get a job in that field, and then maybe do your master's, and then just your entire life goes like that. So I wanted to really think about it. Like, I think most of you who are watching this video are probably above 21. I wanted to really think about it, and I wanted to look at an 18-year-old right now. And when you look at that person, and honestly a child, because an 18-year-old is sort of like a child, do you really think a child is supposed to be able to figure out his entire life, right? And in fact, forget 18, right? You're supposed to pick the field that you may want to pursue for the rest of your life at the age of 17, when you're what, in 11th grade, right? So it is very stupid to think that the decisions that you made when you were 17 or 18, or the decisions that you made even when you were 20 or 21, are going to be the decisions in your career that you will feel aligned to all your entire life. So a lot of misconceptions people have is that a career is something that you pursue for your entire life. As in, like, if you decide that, okay, I'm going to be an engineer, that's it. I'm going to have to be an engineer. Or that I decided that I will do my MBA at 23, 24, then that's it. I have to do something related to MBA only. Right. And some people also have this very skewed idea of stability. They think that stability is doing one job for the rest of their life or pursuing a field for the rest of their life. That is not how a career works. A career is a 3 to 5 year stint at a time. Whenever you are thinking about your career, you're supposed to be thinking in terms of 3 to 5 years only. And I know that this is an unpopular advice. It goes against all the, have a 15-year-old vision, have a 20-year vision. Please understand that you are not an MNC. Okay, you are an individual, right? An MNC is supposed to think like that, and MNC conglomerate is supposed to have those like big visions, because there are so many moving pieces in what they're doing. But that is not the case with you. You are supposed to think about your career in a span of 3 to 5 years at a time, not more than that. Because every 3 to 5 year, you're truly transforming as a whole as a person. And honestly, if you're not, then that is worrisome. It means that you're not really growing, right? But if you are a normal person who is into growth, if you're a growth oriented person, and that is what like think that most of my audience is, then you're going to change every 3 to 5 years. You won't recognize who you are. So how can you expect that you're going to have the same amount of interest or enthusiasm towards the same career? Now, does that mean that you shift your entire field every 3 to 5 years, or you shift your entire career? Of course not, right? Of course not. But what you do is you revisit your plans. You revisit your career plans, you revisit your goals, you revisit your aspirations, you revisit yourself. And you see that whatever it is that I'm doing, what part of it do I really enjoy and I would like to do more of? And what part of it I don't really enjoy and I would like to maybe, let go of it. So a career is a 3 to 5 year stint. So wherever you are right now, you're supposed to be looking at your life from a 3 to 5 year stint, not more than that, right? And also, as an extension of the very first point I made, do not expect yourself that you have to drag a decision that you made long time ago based on the version that you were, right? Maybe you decided to pursue your, high school or your degrees in a different subject, and now you're just a different person and you're interested in different things, right? That is how human evolution is. You are supposed to grow, you're supposed to evolve. So you evolved, right? There's nothing wrong with you. I've heard some people say that, I don't know why I have no interest in the things that I've studied, like I don't want to do this. So whenever people tell me that, then my first question is that why do you feel that you need to do it, right? Now, apart from the finances and everything, like keeping that aside, because of course I know that career transitions aren't exactly easy, but the problem is that most people don't even think that they have the choice to pursue a career that they really like, right? Because there is this idea that I have to be married to a decision that I made long time ago. Like this the sunken cost fallacy, right? Like if you have dug deep enough, you feel that let me just dig, more deeper, like dig deeper so that I can avoid the loss that I have like made so far. And what you end up doing is you end up creating even more loss. That's sunk cost fallacy, when you don't understand when to cut your losses and move away. So please understand that a career is a 3 to 5 year stint, and you don't have to carry the decisions that you made many years ago your entire life. There is no reward for that. The next thing I'm going to talk about, excuse me, I have a really bad cold. Um, I'm going to check also if I'm still live. Okay, I think I am. At least I hope I am. Okay, yes, I am live. All right. So I check this often because it has happened to me wherein I went live. I spoke for 20 to 30 minutes straight, and I found out that the live event stopped in the middle due to some tech malfunction. So I tried to look at it. Okay. So the next thing I want to talk about is your understanding of yourself is going to directly influence the kind of career that you actually have, which means it's going to determine how successful of a career that you're going to have and how not successful of a career that you're going to have, right? Because your career is what? It's an extension of you, right? Your career is coming out from what, like your literal body, your literal mind. right? Everything that is coming into your career is a result of that. I mean, think about this. Like, you're sitting here, you're probably watching this from a YouTube account, or probably you're watching this from LinkedIn. Who gave you the idea that you're supposed to create a YouTube account, or who gave you the idea that you're supposed to create a LinkedIn account, right? All of it came from your mind and your body, and you're sitting here. So your career is an extension of your mind and body, which means that the better you know about yourself, the more successful you're actually going to be in your career. There is not a single person on this planet Earth who was clueless and who made a successful career. There really wasn't, right? People did start out clueless, then they took efforts to actually understand themselves, know themselves, and then they made up successful careers. But there was not a single person who stayed clueless in their life and expected that somehow things will come to him or her and they actually made a successful career. That never really happens, right? Most clueless people end up having a very average career, as in they're either living hand to mouth or they're doing really average jobs where they're not happy. They're just dragging their life, right? In the hope that one day things will change. In reality, you have to understand that if you don't know yourself well enough, which means that you don't know why you're doing your career, you don't know why you're so underconfident, or you don't really know who you are or what you want in life, then you have to bid goodbye to a successful career, because that isn't going to happen. When you don't know yourself, you don't know the decisions that you need to make, right, about your career. And if you don't know the decisions that you need to make about your career, then you are living a really passive life, which means that your life is just taking you, somewhere or the other. And the problem with that kind of approach is that it works well when things are looking up, right? But the nature of life is what it's up and down. So when it does come down, then you don't really know what to do, because even when things were going up, you did not know what you were really doing, right? You were just, it's like, a dead fish, like flowing with the river. So when you don't know yourself well enough, then a successful career is never going to happen. So if you are someone who's very low on personal growth right now, your first job should be to invest in yourself, invest in your brain, and actually work on yourself. And that could be anything for each one of you. It could be confidence, it could be anxiety, it could be you don't know what career to pick for yourself, anything. It doesn't really matter. But if you're low on personal growth, that's the first thing you need to do. Because if you don't know yourself well enough, anybody can fool you, anybody can take advantage of you, anybody can say anything to you, and you will end up doing that. Right? Because again, you don't really know what to do. Now, coming to the main point, which is how do you know if you're on the right career path? So, I'm going to discuss a few pointers on top of my head. But again, these pointers aren't always applicable to each one of you, right? So, if there is something that is applicable to you, that's well and great. If something that you think you have been thinking about, but I haven't covered in the live event, that's okay. You can always book a one on one call with me. You can just DM me coaching and we can have a coaching call. And of course, each one of us have different reasons. So we keep in mind that. Okay, so how do you know if you're on the right career path, right? So the very first point is your natural talents are very well being used in your career. There's this thing, right? So people often wonder that how is it that some people are able to do so well in their career so early on in their life, or how are some people able to be excellent in what they do. But the truth is that it is very easy to be excellent when you are playing to your natural strength. For example, um I'm going to take my example. Okay, so I'm not very good at understanding mathematics. Like, I did well in my school. I even, like, used to be one of the toppers. But if you really ask me if that is something that is my strength, my answer is going to always be a straight no. It took effort for me, right? And I put in the effort because, you are in your school and you're supposed to like score good marks and everything. But my natural strength always lied in emotional intelligence only. That is something that just came naturally easy to me. Similarly, I have known some of my friends, for them maths was just so easy, right? Physics was just so easy. Or, playing well in sports was just so easy. Like, naturally they had the ability because it was a natural gift, right? So when they worked towards that, it was so easy for them to naturally excel at it, right? So similarly, it is very easy to excel at things wherein your natural gifts lie. And that natural gift could be anything for you. So ask yourself, what is something that comes easily to me that doesn't come easily to other people? Because you see, we often ignore the fact that what's obvious to us is not obvious to other people. For example, growing up, I used to believe that empathy is something that everybody has. Like, everybody can feel other people's emotions. Or it was very easy for me to resolve other people's problems. It was very easy for me to understand my emotions and other people's emotions, and even navigate it. It just came naturally to me. And I found out that that is not really the case with everyone. Similarly, I had a friend who was like really good with what do you call that? I mean, he was really good with fixing things, like whatever electronics there was, he was just really good at it. And I would often tell him that, oh my God, you're so good at it. And he's like, isn't everyone? I mean, so easy. And then I had to tell him that, no, it's not. I mean, I am clueless with this stuff. So we often ignore that what is obvious to us is not really obvious to other people. What's easy for us is not really easy for other people. So what you may think is like, it's nothing, it's so easy, is your zone of genius, right? Your zone of genius is where you excel really, really fast, right? You take the shortest amount of time as compared to other people. So the very first sign that you're on the right career path is that you're operating in your zone of genius. You're utilizing your natural strengths, right? You're utilizing what you're naturally good at. For example, my sister is a graphic designer, and from the time that I've known her, like when we were young, she was just really good when it comes to being creative. Like, she was really good with understanding design, understanding these color coordinations and how a good design looks like. I don't really know, like, how did she have the patience for it, because I never really did. I never really had the patience for it. And even if I tried, it would take me a lot of effort, right? So similarly, for my sister, when it came to emotional intelligence, right, or when it came to understanding other people's emotions, it wasn't really easy for her, right? But it was easy for me. So similarly, when it comes to your career, it's very important to see that, am I operating in my zone of genius or not? Is there something that comes really, really easy to me? And why is it that I'm not really doing something in that field? Second thing, and just a point I missed, when you are competing with someone who's operating in his zone of genius and you are not, then you're never going to win with that person, because that person is doing something that he's naturally good at. So the effort that he's going to require is going to be very, very less, right? So that is why, instead of trying to be good at something that doesn't have your natural strength, try to find your natural strength and be good at that. Be amazing at that, right? We don't have to spend our life being good at things that we're average at. We can be excellent at the things that we're already good at, right? So the second thing is that you actually find your work interesting and stimulating. So, there is one thing that you're good at what you do, and there's another thing that you actually find it stimulating, right? Intellectually stimulating or creatively stimulating, any kind of stimulation that you prefer. For example, for me, it's very important for me to exercise my creativity in my work. It is very important for me to actually find my work like intellectually challenging. If I don't find something intellectually challenging, I just lose all interest. Like, I become like a zombie, right? So it is very important that you actually see that you genuinely like your work. And see, interesting and stimulating, like, what you find interesting and stimulating may not be something that I find interesting and stimulating, right? So it's different for each one of us. For example, if you go and ask um, a researcher, let's say someone who's working in the field of let's say sciences, okay, in general, I mean, um, and you ask him that, what is it that you love about like research so much, and he's going to passionately tell you, this is this is that, and you will find that, oh my God, I have zero interest in this. Or for example, let's say you are someone who is let's say civil engineer, okay, you're a civil engineer and you love your work. So when someone asks you, okay, what do you really love about it, you passionately tell them, right? So what I may find intellectually stimulating, you may not. For like a very big example is just me and my sister. Like, I don't find her work very intellectually stimulating, it bores me, and she finds the same thing with my work, right? But we both find our work individually very intellectually stimulating. So when you find your work interesting and stimulating, it is going to be very easy for you to persist there, very easy for you to sustain it, and very easy for you to excel at it. When you don't find something interesting at any point of time, if something becomes even mildly difficult or mildly inconvenient, you will leave that, or it's going to take you a lot of struggle to go past things, right? And ultimately, the whole idea of you being successful in your career is a direct result of your excellence and the time you've spent building your skills. And you can't spend time doing something that you don't even find interesting, right? That doesn't scale, to be very honest. Like, even if you try to, then what's going to happen is that you're going to have a really average career with really average, like, you end up doing very average things, right? Nobody really cares about it, you yourself don't care about it. So if you don't find your work intellectually stimulating or interesting, then it is a sign that you really look at it, that why is it that I'm pursuing it, and you really look towards getting clarity in your life, that what is it that I would like to move towards, that I do find interesting and stimulating. Okay, the next thing is that you actually feel satisfied and fulfilled in your work. So again, sometimes what may happen is that you find your work intellectually interesting, you even like it a little bit, but when you ask yourself that am I satisfied with the work that I do, like do I feel content, the answer is no. Right, the answer is no, that I don't feel satisfied, I don't feel content. And this often happens to impact driven people a lot. For example, I once knew someone, and this particular person was a lawyer, and he chose law by himself, and he liked working with people and everything. But because of some reason, he ended up being in corporate law. He couldn't really do the work that he was expecting, or that he thought he would when he started out his law degree. And he was making great money, and he was good at his work, and he did find intellectually stimulating, like challenging. But when I asked him that was he satisfied, because he came to me for career anxiety, he was like, no, Rianshi, I feel that I started this work, or I always wanted to make impact in other people's lives, and I don't think I'm doing that. So his dissatisfaction with his work was leading to his performance coming down, because he was losing interest, and that was leading him to feel career anxiety, right? So the point is that when you're not satisfied with what you're doing in life, and you're not proud of what you're doing, or you know what, let's not even use the word proud, let's just use the word satisfied and content. When you're not, then it does affect you. It affects your confidence, it affects how much interest you have in your work, it affects how persistent will you really be at the face of challenges, right? Because when you're not satisfied, when you're not content, then it becomes very difficult to keep at it. So if you're someone who's impact driven, then this is something that you'll be able to relate to, because frankly, it happened to me a lot. Like before I found coaching, I did try a few things, and the issue was that I was good at it, and I even liked it a little bit, but I never felt fully satisfied the way I do when I do coaching, or when my clients tell me thank you, or when I get messages that my work is creating impact. I mean, I can never really compare that feeling, or even can even trade that feeling for anything. So when you're an impact driven person, satisfaction and contentment is going to be very important to you. So if you do something that in your career that doesn't align with you, or that you don't really feel is satisfying you, then it's going to be very hard for you to sustain your career. Okay. Let's see if we have any questions so far, and then I'm gonna cover a few more points. Okay, so far we don't have any questions. All right. The next point is that you are able to meet your goals, right? Your work is able to meet your goals. What kind of goals am I talking about? Different goals, right? So the first and the very obvious one is financial goals. So sometimes you can be in a career that is intellectually stimulating, that is making you feel satisfied, like it's creating impact in other people's lives, or even your life. It is something that you actually like, but it does not pay well, right? It does not pay well, you're not making money, and you are struggling financially. So when that is the case, then it becomes difficult to again sustain the career, or you may end up resenting the work that you're doing, because again it doesn't financially satisfy you. So again, if that is the case, then you have to find an alternative to either how can I monetize what I'm doing more, or can I go into maybe a parallel field or a lateral field that involves the same work that I'm doing, but will pay me more. The second thing is, are you able to actually meet your life goals? So when I say life goals, which means that your work actually facilitates your life goals. So for example, something that I knew very early on in my life is that I cannot give a timesheet to someone that this is what I'm doing. I always wanted to live my life according to me, right? So I always wanted that my time is my own. That I don't have to tell someone why I'm doing what I'm doing. So doing a job was never really suited to my personality. But another thing that I must tell you, another thing that I always knew is that I don't like to work with people. Like, even though it's so ironic that my profession is working with people, but when it comes to doing my work, like the core work, I don't like doing it with anyone, right? So I have had people in the past, but that was me hiring and telling them what to do, right? I'm not a very big collaborative person. I like to do everything on my own, and I like that. So that is one of the reasons why I kept my business a one person business, and the reason I've been able to scale it faster than most people do is because I decided to really structure my business and my career according to my wants, according to my needs, according to my personality. right? So I felt very comfortable in my work, right? I was not dealing with office politics. I was not dealing with, oh my god, I have to prove myself to this person, or I was not dealing with someone I have to work with who I don't really want to. So it's very important to also see that, is your career really around your life goals? So for example, some people really want to stay close with their partners, but they end up taking jobs that involves a lot of traveling. So that career is not meeting your life goals. Or sometimes it may happen that um, your career involves like a particular time shift and your partner has a different time shift, and again it's creating a rift in your relationship. Or sometimes it may happen that your career may take you to a location that you don't really like, a city that you don't really like, so it's creating a lot of mental stress, right? So again, this is not a very big issue. These are, I think, temporary hiccups that happens in our lives because we aren't really so observant about what is going on. So what helps is to really take a step back and just make different career choices, like choosing career options that aligns with your life goals, that it doesn't disturb you. For example, for a lot of people and for a lot of couples as well, when they get married or when they have kids, their career, and their career isn't really aligned with that kind of life, they suffer a lot. There's a lot of mental stress, there's a lot of mental blocks, that, oh my god, I'm not able to give time to my child, or we're having financial stress, or this and that, and yada yada yada, right? So you really have to see, and you have really have to shape your career in a way which aligns with your life goals. And that is why career can only be a 3 to 5 year stint, right? Because you can only plan your life 3 to 5 year at a time. You can't plan more than that, right? So for example, if you're planning to get married, then you must make sure that you and your partner are actually able to be together. Or that if you're planning to have a child, that you plan that, okay, I actually am in a job that I can be there for my child. Or that, let's say, you are someone who knows that you are in a traveling job and you can't be with your partner or your child, then like, sorry, you can't really be with your partner, then you must not plan a child, right? So you have to look at your career choices, and then you have to align it with your life goals. That is a recipe of a very smooth life, a life where things are going according to you, and there's no unnecessary mental stress. The last thing is professional goals. So you also have to see whether your career path is actually meeting your professional goals or not. Now, what is a professional goal? A professional goal is something that you want to accomplish um, in your career path. For example, for some of you could be that I want to lead a team. For example, for me, it was always that, I want to financially be at a place in my life where I'm not working a lot for money. I'm not trading my time for money, and that I'm able to make as much as I want without exhausting myself, right? That has been a professional goal of mine. And another professional goal of mine was that I really want to create a deep impact in people's lives. So because my professional goals were clear, I sort of geared my career towards that way. Similarly, your professional goal could be something else, that you want to lead a team, or you want to write a book, or you want to do a podcast. Again, it doesn't really matter, right? Like, any of us can have any kind of professional goals. So you have to see that whether your career is actually meeting your professional goals or not. For example, let's say that, and you know what, let me just give you a real life example. So I worked with someone, okay, a while back, and this person always wanted an on-site opportunity. So this person was working in India, and they always wanted an on-site opportunity, and they got it, and they went to Europe, and there they were told to lead a team. And after that, this particular person, he suddenly started getting a lot of career anxiety. His confidence went down, and he also started getting addicted to things. So when he came to me, and when we were talking about it, we were talking about all the issues that he was going through. And if you have ever worked with me, or if you're familiar with my work, you know that I do a lot of deep inner work with my clients. So in the middle of that conversation, what we found was that this particular client of mine never wanted to lead a team. He loves being an individual contributor. So because his professional goal was also only just, he likes working alone, right? But he ended up going for a leadership position. It created so much havoc in his life that he lost his confidence, he lost his strength and belief in himself, and he started questioning everything, right? All because his career path wasn't being aligned with his professional goals. Yeah. So sometimes even that can happen. So you really need to see that what is it that I really want from my career, and what am I really doing, and what path am I going, right? Because again, these may look like really small things, but over a period of time, when you start to really see that, why am I dissatisfied, or why is it that I'm not feeling happy, it is a result of all of these minute decisions. Now, coming to the last point, and a very important one, is, do you feel purposeful in your career path? Like, do you see a purpose? Do you see meaning? Or do you feel meaningless? Do you feel that, I don't know why I'm doing this? I have no idea, or you are someone who thinks that, oh, at least if nothing, I'm doing something, at least I'm making some amount of money. If you have that kind of an attitude, then your career isn't going to last, right? One day or the other, either you'll be fired or you will quit and you will come back to square one. So ask yourself, do I really see meaning and or purpose in it? And if you are someone who doesn't see meaning or purpose in it, it's okay. The first step is to accept it. The second step is to hire a coach and work on yourself, right? Actually work on yourself. There is really no other way than someone from heavens above isn't going to come down and tell you what to do, because the only person that can tell you what to do is you, right? And that can only happen when you are thinking clearly, when you're confident, when you believe in yourself. Most career problems stems from lack of clarity and lack of confidence. And when you fix both of these, career becomes a very, very easy thing to tackle with, right? And if you are someone who needs help getting clarity, needs help becoming confident, so that you can take better career decisions and you can create a very clear and structured path for yourself, then I'll be very happy to help you. You can always DM me coaching and book a call with me. And I have created, like a few more live events in the past on career itself, and you can also go through that. And of course, I'm going to be creating more live events on career conversations, which is this series, and you can watch that too. For today, that is it from my side. Thank you so much for joining. And if you would like me to answer any questions, or if there's something that you would like me to take up in the series, feel free to DM me and I'll take it up. Thank you so much for joining. Bye bye.